this is what happens when traditional watches meet the current trend of being smart. It is always visible, can track heart rate and sports activities, lasts for 2 weeks on a single charge and shows up notifications, but is that enough? Yeah, let's go. Welcome everybody to the Tech for All channel. My name is Michael and I'm so glad to see you. If you like to get in touch using different to YouTube kind of social media, you're welcome to get in touch in other platforms and check some of the behind-the-scenes photos and videos. When Hybrid HR came out, there were a lot of reviews about it, and all of them were criticizing the software and the lack of features. In my case, I'll take a different approach and gonna say that I like it a lot unless we prove otherwise. What do you think? Will that opinion change until the end of the video or not? Generally, these kind of hybrids are often quite interesting, and because we barely see models of that type, Fossil have all the right elements to offer something outstanding, because they own a number of brands for classic watches, as well as participate actively in releasing WearOS-based smartwatches. And Hybrid HR combines the best out of these two worlds. You probably won't like the price that much, especially for a watch with no AMOLED screen and lack of GPS and fancy features, which is the expected trade-off for that 2-week battery life. If $200 for the Hybrid HR sound like a lot, I hear you. Keep in mind that very often Fossil are running discount campaigns, and make sure to check the description for link to the best price I found for you. If you're lucky, you may find the more basic editions with leather or silicone strap for around $150, which, if being permanent, was about to make the Hybrid HR a very attractive choice. Cause we've inspected similar watches before, like Gligo, Top Hill and the Xiaomi Quartz watch, but none of them was that close to being perfect. Unboxing experience was great, which is usual for the Fossil brand. The device, the charging cable and papers. Keep in mind that there are plenty of different Hybrid HR models. This one in particular, with stainless steel band, has the model FTW7009, the so-called smoke stainless steel. Because I always sleep with my watches and feel uncomfortable wearing a steel band, it was the first thing to get rid of. Therefore, most of the close-ups of the watch are not with the original band, which is also equipped with a quick release, by the way. Right from the start, we know that the watch looks good, and its design and elegance is no different to the rest of Fossil's classic watches. First obvious top feature is the screen. They call it always on, and is based on the e-ink technology, the same one as used in the so popular Kindles and many other ebook readers. That immediately reminds me of the good old Pebble, and an attempt to revive the idea for e-ink watches like what we saw with Gligo, which we tested almost a year ago. Back then it was good, but in time their crowdfunding campaign turned into a disappointment. Anyways, we better stay focused on the Hybrid HR, and it can easily score 5 out of 5 stars for stylish design and build quality. You won't notice any corners cut, everything is very precise. 3 buttons on the side and very well distributed information on the main screen. Some specs: case diameter 42mm, 22mm band size, we mentioned the 106-inch e-ink display, Bluetooth 5, battery capacity, which is undisclosed, but we know for sure that it lasts more than 2 weeks if you don't practice too many sports, even more. 4 different areas for information, 3 buttons, waterproof for swimming, HR tracking, sleep tracking, customizable buttons, and since early April 2020, customizable background, understand watch faces. What's not to be liked about it, right? Operation is also quite simple, and the huge difference to most watches out there is the fact that the top and the bottom buttons are customizable, meaning that you can associate them with functions that you like. There's nothing like main menu, and you don't need one because the functionality is rather limited. The middle button is more static, it's the select button. Music control, notifications, calendar reminders, activity and wellness section. This means that if you need to apply any changes, you do need access to the smartphone app. The initial setup and the pairing was quite simple, and I also found all the updates to be flawless. For the couple of weeks of using it, I got 2 of them, and that's good enough in my opinion. While functions are not that many, you have not only the basics, but count on quite well analyzed and grouped data. Initially, the smartphone app looks to be minimalistic and basic. Don't let this good interface fool you, it's actually good and detailed. Let's first go through the customizations. You have a few predefined settings, and it takes seconds switching between them. You may keep one layout for sports, one for office hours, one for home, and that can be even automated. Since a recent update, there's now the option to add something like a wallpaper. Not everything looks good on that e-ink screen, but let's say that it's something and done quite easily. Inside the home screen section, you're gonna find information about your activities, the part that I like the most. Besides steps, you can notice during which part of the day you have most activities, and especially if you have to spend a lot of time at home, this is essential to remind you to stay active. There's calories counter and good HR tracking. It's continuous, meaning that it measures pulse 24/7. Keep in mind that the sensor comes on and off every few minutes in order to preserve battery life. Should you need more detailed data, then enter a sport activity and you're gonna get it. Sleeping is also measured, and despite the negative words some reviews have about it, it's pretty good in my opinion. It won't catch daily naps, like the majority of the smartwatches, but it's very accurate about timing when you fall asleep and when you wake up. Compared to the Watch GT2 by Huawei, there's almost no difference, and we have recognized the GT series many times for their precise sleep tracking. As for sports and workouts, you won't be too impressed because there's no inbuilt GPS. But there still can be some good facts which you may analyze and use as data for creating action plans and training programs. Oh, and did I mention that there's also backlight? Yeah, there is. Double tap. Consists of 4 LEDs and looks a little weird if it's not too dark, but does the job right. Valid question, why is it not as good as what we have with the Kindle Paperwhite? That's likely related to the limited space and other known or unknown factors. As for the battery life, on the 11th day of using it, I was still having more than 40% left, and that's what we're talking about, always on display with phenomenal battery life. On top of that, the brighter it is, the better the screen is visible. So far, this is the most elegant and most successful attempt to add smartness in a traditional watch, and while we can just call it a feature watch, the Hybrid HR truly deserves your attention. It's definitely a keeper, and if you're not tempted by apps and too many smart options, it perfectly well covers everything you need in order to take good care of your health, at least concerning heart rate, sports and sleeping habits. And since recently, unlimited watch faces. Do I like it? Yes, very much. Do you? That's something I'm going to find out in the comments, and feel free to share any single thought or question you may have in that regard. Thanks for watching this video. Support me using any of the shared links in the description, or at least by hitting the like and subscribe buttons. Don't forget to smile, enjoy life, and let's meet again in the next episode. Bye!